morning to you all. I, Bushra Noor, a final year undergrad student of Environmental Science and Management and the current president of Art Club of North-South University.
And I, Hussein Abdullah, studying Electrical and Electronics Engineering at North-South University and a member of Art Club, will be your host for this session. Today, we gather here for the final round of student research poster presentation competition on air and plastic pollution, organized by Earth Club in collaboration with Center for Policy Dialogue.
The competition consisted of two stages. The first stage was the poster presentation day, which took place at the Recreation Hall of North-South University on the 23rd and 24th. We are thrilled to announce that students from diverse universities came together to share their valuable findings on air and plastic pollution.
Before we rise, ladies and gentlemen, we will humbly request you all to rise and honor our national anthem as we play it.
আমার সোনার বাংলা, আমি তোমায় ভালোবাসি, চিরদিন তোমার আকাশ, চিরদিন তোমার আকাশ, তোমার বাতাস আমার প্রাণে, তোমার আমার প্রাণে বাজায় বাঁশি, সোনার বাংলা, আমি তোমায় ভালোবাসি। ওমা ফাগুনে তোর আমের মনে প্রাণে পাগল করে, মনে হায় হায় রে ওমা ফাগুনে তোর আমের মনে প্রাণে পাগল করে, ওমা প্রাণে তোর ভরা খেতে কি দেখেছি, আমি কি দেখেছি মধুর হাসি, সোনার বাংলা, আমি তোমায় ভালোবাসি।
Thank you. Moving on to the main part of the event, we would like to invite the contestants to take the stage individually and present their posters. Firstly, I would like to request Mr. Ahmed Shams Kader from Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology to come on the stage and share his poster.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Ahmed Shams Kadir. I have graduated from Kuwait under the Department of Water Resources Engineering and done my master's in from Kuwait under the IWFM Institute of Water and Plant Management, and I am currently pursuing my master's in international relations from University of Dhaka, and I am also serving as the assistant chief in National River Conservation Commission in water engineering. First of all, thank you the organizers, especially the CPD and NSU Art Club for arranging such a befitting and well-organized program. And as Bangladesh is currently going through a development phase, it is a ever important and befitting subject. And the context of air and plastic pollution is alarmingly increasing, and that's why I believe it is a very unique opportunity for me to be a part of it. As the theme of the presentation was based on mainly two parts, air pollution and the plastic pollution in Dhaka city, so I have tried to accommodate both the topics in a single poster. First of all, I would like to focus on the air pollution. in last January 2023, Dhaka ranked second in the world for worst air quality, just after Delhi, and it depicts that how worst our air quality is. And if we look at the heavy metals and pollutants, which is like lead, cadmium, zinc, arsenic, chromium, and copper, all have exceeded the WHO limit. And if we look at the sources of pollution, we will find that the traffic emissions and industrial emissions and burning of fossil fuels on a large scale are taking a heavy toll on our air. And the top 5 উপজেলা of Bangladesh with poorest water quality are Gazipur Shodor, Madhepur Shodor, Noakhgঞ্জ Shodor, Jamalpur Shodor, and Pabna Shodor. And if you look at the top 4, we will find out that these are heavily industrialized cities of Bangladesh. And Pabna Shodor, as we know that Rupur power plant is underwaying, and it is already taking a heavy toll on our air. And what is the way forward? We have depicted at the problems, and I believe there is a way forward. Like South Korea, a heavily industrialized and the capital of South Korea, Seoul, is the electric hub of the world, and they faced a similar kind of problem. But in 2019, they adopted a 4-layered model, the South Korean model for clean air, and these included the Clean Goal, the Green New Deal, the Seoul Clean Air Action Plan, and ZEV, or Zero Emission Vehicle Market Development Scheme. And after adopting these schemes and strategies, they significantly improve their air quality. And I believe if we adopt those strategies in our country, the air will be of much higher quality. Those included like promoting the use of electric and hybrid vehicles, promoting the use of cleaner fuels for cooking and heating, improving air quality monitoring and enforcement, planting trees to absorb pollution from the air, improving public transportation and reduce reliance on public vehicles, and others like installing dust concentration observing equipment, and ensuring dust barriers in construction sites, and investing in zero emission vehicles in structures such as charging stations. And even today, now, the air of Dhaka city is extremely unhealthy, and currently the PM 2.5 is 56 microgram per meter cube, which is 11.2 times greater than the WHO limit. And I believe if we adopt these strategies and tactics, we can significantly improve our air quality. The second part, I would like to focus on the plastic pollution. The plastic pollution is ever increasing in our country. Like in 2005, it was only 0.287 million tons per year, and in 2020, it became close to 1 million tons per year, and 2023, it has surpassed and exceeded the milestone of 1 million tons per year. And if we look at the graphs in the top in here, we know that the per capita plastic consumption in Bangladesh and the per capita plastic consumption in Dhaka there is a significant difference between them. The per capita plastic consumption for Bangladesh is currently is 9.1 kg, and for Dhaka it is almost 22.5 kg. And due to our lifestyle and consumerism being the prevailing theory of in our lifestyle, and it is the main reason that Dhaka city is far ahead in air pollution from the other cities of Bangladesh. And if we look at the sector-wise use of plastics, we will see that the packaging, the construction, the consumer goods, agriculture, transportation, and medical are the top contributors here. And as I work in the National River Conservation Commission, I have personally felt that plastic is taking a heavy toll on our rivers. The 4 rivers around Dhaka city, the Buriganga, the Dholeshwari, Shitolokha, and Balu rivers, these are heavily polluted by plastics, and beneath the water of these four rivers, around 30,000 tons of plastics were discovered. And beneath the water of Buriganga, I personally have researched on the project and found that there is a 30-feet layer beneath the water of Buriganga, and it is almost impossible to extract those plastics because they are solidified and normal excavators cannot extract those. And what is the way forward? I believe if we act now, we can come out of the problem. And I have stated here as Rwanda as a successful story here. Rwanda 2008 faced a similar problem like us, and the per capita plastic bag used, they used around 10 bags per day, but in 2016 it is found that they only use 0.3. So that reflects a significant improvement in reduction of plastic uses, and they took some effective steps to reduce plastic pollution, like they provided free reusable bags to citizens, they encouraged businesses with sustainable packaging, they raised awareness about the problem of plastic pollution, they built more and more recycling centers around Kigali, the capital city of Rwanda, and they encouraged the use of compost and plastic bags. Even they used banana fibers for making bags, and they strictly disallowed plastic items at airport. And they adopted a zero plastic campaign in Rwanda in 2008. They banned the import and export of plastic bags. And
You have 30 seconds left.
okay, thank you. And if we act now, then we can come out of the problem. And there is also ray of hope, because according to WTO, half of the top 100 environment-friendly factories are in Bangladesh, and these industries focus on recycling plastics. They design products in such a way that use less plastic, and they focus on green innovation. And if we act now, we can come out of the problems. And the civilized group like the CPD and NSU Art Club, we have to pressurize the government for implementing the single use plastics ban to be implemented strictly. And if we work together, yes, we can come out of the problem. If an economically distressed Rwanda could come out of the problem, then we also can. So thank you everyone, thanks for your patience.
Now I would like to open the floor for some Q&A session. Okay, we would carry that on at the end of the poster presentation stage. Next. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Shams Kader. Your words were very informative. Now, I would like to request Mr. Sabirul Hassan from North-South University to come on the stage and share his poster. Mr. Sabirul Hassan, you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, good morning everyone. Assalamu alaikum. This is MD Sabirul Hassan. I am from Department of Biochemistry and Microbiology of South University. My poster presentation topic is potential use of microbial enzyme for controlling plastic pollution in Bangladesh. Nowadays, plastic have become an integral part of our daily life, from packaging to food, toys. But now this plastic is a major problem in our city. Actually, plastic pollution has become one of the most pressing environmental issues as rapidly it's increasing production. To make green earth and a healthy environment, we need to find some alternative way to eliminate the plastic pollution. So, as a microbiology student, I would like to focus on some areas which can relate to the controlling plastic and pollution, such as microorganism, its producing enzyme and biodegradation process. First of all, we need to know what is microorganism and its microbial enzyme. So microorganism is an organism which cannot be seen naked eyes, but it can be seen through the microscope. And on the other hand, microbial enzyme Microbial enzyme is a metabolic catalyst leading to their use in various industries and applications. Now let's talk about biodegradation process. Biodegradation is the process where microorganisms can break down organic matter. Mainly bacteria are able to break down large molecule into small molecule by producing some different types of enzyme. By using biodegradation process, we can control the plastic pollution. It is the breakdown of toxic chemical into simpler non-toxic comparatively harmless compounds such as carbon dioxide and the methane gas. So mostly some bacteria such as Bacillus, Pseudomonas species, and Staphylococcus and Streptococcus species can produce the different types of enzyme. And if we look more carefully at the top of the right figure, we can see there are two types of enzyme which are PET and MHTS. Here PET stands for polyethylene tetraphthalate and the MHTS is monohydroxyethylene terephthalate. PET is mostly common use plastic in our daily life, and this plastic is used for packaging food and beverage, especially carbonated soft drinks, juice and the water bottles. As we know, the plastic becoming very harmful for us, microbiologists are trying to find out some easiest way how to eliminate the plastic from environment. PTS enzyme actually breaks down the PET from large molecule into small molecule. And it plays major role as primary enzyme. Then MHTE, which is secondary enzyme, which breaks down the small molecule into the degradable compound. Now the question comes, why do we use this process and what are the advantages? So firstly, it's a natural process and there is no side effect and cost effective and it's very environment friendly. Finally, we can sum up that if we try to find out microbial enzyme for industrial purpose, we need to isolate and characterize the bacteria. For further studies we use in biodegradation process, and so that we can have a green earth and a healthy environment for our better life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sabirul Hassan.
Now I would like to request Ms. Nazneen Akhtar Nisa, Mr. Mahdi Mustafa Guya, and Mr. Tahmid Ishraq Apurbo from Shah Jalal University of Science and Technology to come on stage and share your posters.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. This is Nazneen Akhtar Nisa. Currently, I am pursuing my master's degree from Department of Public Administration in SAS. Today, I am going to give our research topic entitled Exposing the Dangers of Improper Waste Management and Unhygienic Environments, a case study in Mohammadpur, Dhaka. We selected this topic from our personal experiences as a resident of Mohammadpur, having directly suffered from the consequences of these problems, and that motivated us to do research on these pressing issues. Now I'm going to describe the objectives of our studies. Our broad objectives is to explore the whole scenario of improper waste management and unhygienic environment conditions in Mohammadpur. And our specific objectives are to investigate the causes, then to analyze the impacts on public health and socio-economic conditions, and to suggest some policy recommendations to combat these problems. In our research, we used a mixed method approach where we collect quantitative data from survey near about 250 respondents by Cocoa Box, Google form and written questionnaires. Whereas we collect qualitative data to know the core of this problem by conducting focus group discussion from 8 groups in Mohammadpur area, and we use both purposive and simple random sampling in our research. From our quantitative analysis, we got that there are 68.2% respondents complained about their irregularities of their municipal waste collection services, while 43.5% slum dwellers confessed about dumping their regular wastes into the canal. Then 73.1% people face serious health-related problems as dengue, malaria, diarrhea, skin diseases, etc. From our qualitative analysis, we got that people are not conscious about proper waste management system. In Mohammadpur area, the storage system is are not well organized. Then improper plastic dumping or disposal. From our findings, we got some policy recommendation. According to our study, most of the people, near about 56.2%, encourage the uses of jute instead of plastic bags if the price are reasonable and near in hand. Then we also include that they also encourage community-based waste recycling centers. Then impose fines for improper waste disposal and promote organized the work of Tokai community. Then promote green spaces which can reduce black fumes in air. Then raising awareness by promoting proper waste management system in all educational and religious institutions in all levels. Our study introduced people with a new dimension, and we expect that future researcher and policymaker will make collaboratively solve these problems and make Mohammadpur as well as Dhaka city more cleaner. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Nazneen, for your presentation. Next, we have Ms. Noor Lubna Asha from University of Dhaka. Please come up on stage and share your poster with us.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I am from Dhaka University. I have completed my master's on education and research on educational psychology and guidance. Today I am presenting my research poster on trash to treasure, students recycling plastics into teaching learning materials, saving Dhaka city from plastic pollution. As a student of education, I have focused plastic pollution and how to combine plastic pollution, how I can save Dhaka city from plastic pollution using education and using the huge manpower, which is students. So there are approximately 10 lakh students in Dhaka city, which includes primary, secondary, and higher secondary levels. And when these students will arrange awareness programs on plastic pollution and how to solve this problem, they can collect plastic waste from their houses and from their educational institutions, and they can recycle those plastic wastes into teaching learning materials. And it will help them to have very interactive and effective classrooms as well. So there are environmental benefits and educational benefits as well. And this will lead to a sustainable Dhaka city with less plastic pollution. I would like to draw your attention to the bottom of the poster, which says the research method, number one, the research method, which is action research. I have chosen this method because as an educator, action research will help me to at the same time simultaneously investigate and solve an issue, which is how students can transform plastic waste to their useful things, which is teaching learning materials. So there will be a necessity of making an action plan which will be decentralized and institution-based. And the feasibility of this project will be the existing manpower, which will never decline or never diminish, because students, everywhere students are being enrolled in institutions, educational institutions, and there are low-cost or no-cost resources, which is recyclable plastic and polythene or etc. I have done the cost-benefit analysis on this. This is if we raise only 10 taka from 10 lakh students, that will be 1 crore taka from only Dhaka city, the students of primary, secondary, and higher secondary level. And this has the very long-term benefit. How we can implement this? First of all, we need to include this recycling of plastics in our curriculum, because many of our students and parents don't want to participate in extracurricular activities. So if we impose them, not impose, but if it is in the curriculum, everyone will be motivated to participate in this kind of work, and this will eventually benefit the environment and their classroom environment also. And then
You have
organizing.
1 minute left.
Thank you. They will organize awareness programs. They will do it collectively as groups or individually by the monitoring of the teachers, and students will recycle those plastic waste into teaching learning materials. If they need any technical support, they will have more knowledgeable others, which came from the Vygotsky theory of education. Again, the teachers will be the monitors. There are some challenges, but as you can see, the solution lies in the problem, because we have some awareness on plastic pollution and how to solve it, but we don't do it on our own. If it is in the curriculum, students, a large group of people in Dhaka city will be involved in collecting plastic wastes from their households and from educational institutions, and they will.
Your time is over.
Thank you. May I finish it? Thank you. It will have environmental benefits and sustainability. The sustainability manpower doesn't decline. It is cost effective. Waste management will be there, and it will grow environment conscious citizens. And I have connected the dots of SDG 4, quality education, SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, and SDG 13. One of our honorable guests on our previous segment suggested me to include SDG 12, and this is very rational, so I couldn't mention it here, but I would definitely do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Noor Lubnaj.
Now, we would like to invite Ms. Rifa Tamanna and Mr. Sadman Saqib Chaudhuri from Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology to come to the stage and share your poster with us.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum, respected judges and everyone present in this hall right now. And a very good morning. I am Rifa Tamanna, an undergraduate student of Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology in my senior year. And I have my teammate, Mohammed Sadman Saqib Chaudhuri, with me over here to present our paper, our research poster titled Air Pollution in Dhaka City, its impact, sources and mitigation. Now, as being a major in environmental engineering in the Department of Civil Engineering and doing my major thesis research on air pollution, I've had the opportunity to learn that air pollution is not just what we see on the outside, it's what's going inside us, and it's more than just what's visible. It's causing cardiovascular diseases and even leading to deaths every year. And now, for mitigating air pollution, the first thing we have to notice is locating its sources, where it's coming from. And for sources, we can see over here that the vehicle emissions, industrial emissions, and from construction sites, there are so many pollutants that are released every day and each and every moment. So we have to know how much pollutants are coming from each of these sources. So from the graph in the air pollution distribution section, we can see that most of the particulate matters are coming from the road and construction sites, and for the nitrogen dioxide emission, these are from vehicles that are on the roads, and also the carbon monoxide. So we have distributed these according to source apportionment, and for the impacts that are caused by these emissions or the pollutants is not just some small scale of diseases. It's actually much more than that. It's causing the cardiovascular diseases and respiratory diseases. It's decreasing fertility of crops, and so much more effect it is having on our daily lives. Now, for research methods, that is locating how these sources are impacting and how much pollutants are released from each of these sources, I have had the opportunity to work on local sensors for my research purpose, for my thesis actually. So I have worked with local sensors, and also using GPS system and monitoring these pollutants using mobile monitoring. I got various results that they vary spatio-temporally. That means it varies with space and time according to the urban morphology and with meteorological factors. Now I would like to hand this over to my teammate.
Okay, so moving on to the interdisciplinary approach, I would like to say that this is not just an engineering problem or a policy problem. Different disciplines should be involved when it comes to solving this problem. For example, the Department of Environmental Studies, the Department of Social Studies, and the Psychology Department. There are a lot of departments that can work on this pollution problem. Why can a lot of departments work on this? Because it's not just an entry and exit problem, that there are pollutants entering the atmosphere and exiting through our body, and we're to suffer. No, it's not just that. There are our behaviors that contribute to this. There are other factors that contribute to this. There are different organizations that perform activities which also causes pollution. There are industries, there are manufacturers. A lot of those are responsible for the air pollution. So to solve this problem, that different disciplines should be working together. And when it comes to the solutions, there are policies that can contribute to the solutions. For example, the reducing carbon footprint. So these are some basic generalized policies, but the common thing is there are two things that are common within these policies. For example, at first we need to incentivize this. Yes, I know that we need to reduce air pollution, but why am I going to be incentivized? I cannot see that, right? So basically we have to incentivize it through other forms that may attract me, and this would help us solve the problem. And besides incentivizing, we have to do something else, that is follow the design with intent principle, where we make the pollution practically impossible by imposing different behaviors in our pattern. And as a result, when we implement these policies, the air pollution problem can be tackled somewhat. To conclude, I would like to state that there are a lot of awareness programs, novel technologies that are being used to solve the air pollution problem. But what we need is a meeting, a discussion, and involvement of the stakeholders and those who make the decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rifat Amanda and Mr. Salman Sakib Choudhury.
With that, we have come to the very last poster of this competition. Now, I would like to invite Shams Arban Ithila from University of Dhaka to come up on stage and present their poster.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Shams Arban Ithila. I am currently studying at University of Dhaka, Department of Geography and Environment Science. First, I want to thank CPD for giving me an opportunity to speak in this stage. The title of the poster which I want to present is Pollution Revolution: How to Combat Air and Plastic Pollution. In air pollution fact, I try to show the factors behind air pollution. There are so many factors such as industrial emission, transportation, wildfires, the burning of fossil fuels, indoor wildfires, and so many on. Besides that, I want to show the factors of plastic pollution which are useful for meals but harmful for decades, such as plastic straw need 200 years to break down. Plastic toothbrush need 500 years to break down, and plastic bottles need 450 years. And this is such a horrible situation. Next part, the main sources of pollution. There are 3 points: production, household, and transportation. Production is there was from various industries: agriculture, metallurgy, chemical production. And household point, there is recycling of household waste, burning fuels for housing. And in last point, transport waste arise as a result of the operation of machines and vessels. Then next, I try to show a scenario of plastic pollution in Dhaka. There you can see about 646 tons of plastic waste is generated, and 37.2% is recycled every year in Dhaka alone, which is 10% of all waste generated in Bangladesh. And the average person in Dhaka uses 22.25 kg of plastic each year. And in 2021, approximately 99,597 tons of synthetic fiber, clothing and textiles were produced in Dhaka alone. About 8,000 billions of microplastics are added annually to ocean water in Bangladesh. This is such a shocking news. Then the solution part: how to make the air cleaner. There are 6 points, including take care of green lungs, such as forests, square parks, reducing industrial emissions, switching the alternative fuels, waste disposal program, reducing the chemical fertilizer in agriculture, renewable energy source, etc. And solution for reducing plastic pollution: here is a tip: care for the environment while caring for yourself. Support a bag, tax or ban, bearing your own garment bag to the dry cleaner. When yourself of disposal plastics, put pressure on manufacturers, purchase items second hand, boycott microbes, buy in bulk, recycle, and lastly, say no to plastic. Shortly, I try to discuss the overall situation of plastic and air pollution in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and some of the key paths to get out of this horrible situation. Thank you.
With that, we're done with today's poster presentation session. Now, I would like to open the floor for a question and answer session and a discussion session. Can you pass it over to Sujay, sir? Sir, we can start with you, please. I would like to request all the participants to please come on the stage. Okay. All right, sure. I would like to request our first participant, Mr. Ahmed Shams Kader, to please come on the podium.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Very enlightening, and I'm very encouraged that you have come that far and coming up with a lot of messages. So, first question, and probably can go to each of the presenters. What is the one message that you're going to give to the audience from your poster? That we take home. One key message.
The key message I would like to give that as Bangladesh is in the developing stage right now, and it will be graduate from LDC to a developing country. I believe that our mindset about development should be changed. Like, we currently are focusing too much on infrastructural development, but solely not on conserving the environment. So I believe development is all very obvious, very important for us, but I believe it should be the sustainable development. And the key message from my poster would be that we should unchain the air and banish plastic snare for a sustainable developed Bangladesh. Thank you.
It's a good presentation and a good slide also, but I have some question for you. In your clean air, the way forward, you have said that promotion of clean fuel that we can make use for cooking and heating. Do you think in our country we make use fuel for heating?
Sir, it is a South Korean model, and it is not absolutely obvious that we should take all of the good practices from South Korea. But I believe in the context of cooking, yes, we can use cleaner fuels for that.
Some information you have inserted in the introduction. 67,000 people died in 2019, right? Due to air pollution in
Yes.
Bangladesh.
Yes, sir, Bangladesh, sir.
So is it 67,000 or 273,000? I'm sure.
Sir, I have taken the information from a World Bank report of 2021, and from that I have inserted the information here.
Even World Bank report, they have introduced that 88,000 people died due to air pollution in 2019. Should have reference here. Reference is missing, and the table here you have inserted table, and you have inserted lead concentration, right?
Yes, sir.
Lead concentration for Dhaka, and also WHO guideline. So lead you have inserted on the top of the table and also bottom of the table. Is there any difference?
Sorry, sir, there is mistake from me. I will correct that.
Okay, let's come to the plastic pollution. So, how do you think about like ban on single-use plastic? Do you think we should ban it? Is there any alternative? Because there are many other applications, right? Say about medical, construction, any alternative that you have?
Sir, I believe there are alternative of single-use plastics. Like we should focus on like sugar canes or the paper-made equipments for our use. And yes, there can be some exclusion, like for like the medical equipments, we have to use the single-use plastic if it is necessary. But for the others, I believe that we should strictly implement the ban on single-use plastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shams, for your excellent presentation. I just have a small question that the recommendations you have made, and you have given reference to Rwanda and South Korea. Both of these countries have much less population than Bangladesh has. So, do you think those policies would be effective in case of Bangladesh?
I believe it will work because about Rwanda, it is a Eastern African economically distressed country, and they have somehow managed to replace plastic with the other biodegradable equipments. And I believe if the government come forward and replace the plastics with other equipment, other ingredients, yes, it will take some time, but I believe it is possible for us.
Thank you very much for your very informative posture. Especially you have brought in 2 different countries example, which I really liked about your posture. So I just have one clarifying question first. If you look into the success story of Rwanda that you have presented in the table, it says estimated plastic bags used per day. So 2008 it was 10. So is it like 10 the whole country per person?
Per person, sir.
Okay, so that was important information that you have.
Sorry, sir, I have mistaken.
Thank you for that. And the other one is you have even a number of recommendations and number of policies pertaining to South Korea and Rwanda. If I had to ask you to name one recommendation, one policy recommendation, the most effective one, in your opinion, what would that be?
Sir, I believe that Rwanda, they have done such a wonderful job that they have, like in Bangladesh, in 2021, the government banned the use of single-use plastic bags in our country, Dhaka city. But the policy is only formulated but not implemented. But Rwanda being facing so much problems about the economic crisis, but they somehow implemented that very well. And I believe that we should follow Rwanda in that case.
That somehow is important, right? Any idea how to?
Sir. Sorry, sir.
Thank you.
Somewhat same, so please try to learn that somehow. Good.
Sir.
2 points from my end. First is, may I know the source of proposal level value?
Sir, it is also from the World Bank report, sir, 2021.
As Dr. Firoz said, I think you should check your value. It's a little bit highly controversial. And somewhat saying Dr. Pure is a little bit different way. If I ask you to recommend one or pick one recommendation from a Korean case for Bangladesh, which you will pick and why?
Sir, the main problem of our country, the air pollution, largely occurs in the dry season, and because the construction works are largely take place in the winter, and what they did was they implemented and they installed dust barriers around the construction sites, which reduce the whole air dust get mixed with the air and pollute the air of the whole area. So I believe if we strictly make a policy or formulation policy that there should be a barrier, a dust barrier for each and every construction site, so that should be the good practice for us. Sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Shamskader.
Next, I would like to invite Mr. Shafirul Hassan to come up to the podium for the question and answer session.
One question or your insight. What challenge you think Bangladesh should face if they want to implement that? Say if our local government, say city corporation, wants to implement that, what main problem Bangladesh should face?
The problem is molecular biology lab. We don't have sufficient lab and the technology and the resource and fund. Actually, if we get enough fund and the technology, I think we can make it.
Thank you very much for your posture. I really like the fact that you focused on one particular aspect and one particular recommendation, which sort of sharpened your overall idea that you are trying to present. That part I really like. My question is, you yourself in your poster have mentioned that there is a lot of supply side constraint. This microbiology, those things are not readily available. So my question is, if given this severe supply side constraint, how long do you think Bangladesh would need to implement this, and can we wait for that long?
I think this is a very time-consuming process. So we think find out the microorganism, and researchers should really find the microorganism in the lab.
Lot of research funding we needed to have.
Yes.
Thank you, Safir. I have one question. The recommendation of the project you have just presented, is it for single-use plastic or all sorts of plastics?
All plastics. It can be used for all plastics.
So thank you, Sabirul, for introducing a novel method, right? But question is, this method, is it a new method?
Yes, actually researchers already have found some types of bacteria, which is Idionosacchinensis, and their strain is very much able to produce the enzyme which can degrade the plastic.
From your reference that you inserted there, it is from about 2013, 2011, right?
Yes.
So method is somewhat old, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
The reason, you know what? Do you think this conversion is slow or faster?
Actually, it's slow process, but if we get new bacteria, some new strains, so what if the bacteria, any bacteria, if you get the, so it can produce more, actually many types of enzyme.
Is there any prototype commercially available?
Yes, sir.
Those references?
Yes, sir.
Commercially
Yes, sir.
available? Alright. Alright, thank you so much. Thank you.
One thing where
All researchers actually get together and
Right. Suppose I got plenty of money. If you have one minute to convince me right? Tell me what your appeal would be to me.
Nowadays, plastic have been industrially produced and widely incorporated into consumer products, and however, due to their rampant use and production, our government and eco-balance is being threatened. But the best solution to this is biodegradation of plastic by scavenging microbes, and however, the only fungi and the bacteria having ability to degrade plastic have been found. And microbial degradation of plastic is better than chemical process and the burning and landfilling. We are diversity of microbes and enzymes that can degrade plastic, and this is still limited. So the future prospect and including identification, isolation, modification of microbes against all the synthetic plastic.
Thank you, Mr. Sabirul Hassan. Now I would like to request Ms. Nazni Akhtar Nisa to come on the stage.
For me, okay, it's not question, it's a little bit criticism and suggestion to you. Definitely it's a very, I think probably this is the one which is based on primary data. You have done a tremendous job, great job. But I'm sorry, poster should not be like this. This is full of text. I appreciate qualitative research, though I'm a researcher based on quantitative data. But there are many techniques that you can apply to represent qualitative information in a very nice way. So please, next time, please be careful about that. Overall, very good findings. Thank you.
Thank you for your poster, and I really like the fact that you focused on one particular area, and also, as Professor Shudal has said, it was good to see that you spent the time to collect primary data and then work with that. I have a simple question about, one question from your policy recommendation. One thing you have suggested is to develop green spaces and parks within Mohammadpur to promote recreational activities, right, while reducing urban heat. Do you have any particular space in mind? Is it available? And how would you go? How would you suggest the government would go about to get that space?
In our Mohammadpur, there is a transport, Laguna or temple that is too much famous in this area, but this transportation creates black air or fumes.
I'm not talking about the transportation, I'm talking about the recreational space, the park. You said one of the recommendations is develop green spaces and parks within Mohammadpur. Is there any particular
Our study areas is actually the Beribag area of Mohammadpur. So we can plant tree around the Beribag. So that would be a park, or I really mentioned that thing in here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nessa, and your team. You have surveyed 250 participants from that area. How did you select that? Is it a random sampling, and do you have the number of total population of that area? First, and second is that you also conducted 8 focus group discussions. So who are these participants?
Focus group discussion.
And yes, this one, and then you select the 250 participants for the survey.
At first, I took the purposive sampling of the Beribag area who are affected already. And then we distribute the questionnaire among them, and that is the simple random sampling. And our focus group discussion, we we conduct our focus group discussion from our residents and slum dwellers who live around the Beribad area.
Are they representative of the other sections like women, youth? How
We select a
representative?
community leader around those areas, and they help me to create a focus group discussion, and then we collect that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dean. I'm truly impressed only because of this presentation, poster competition. You have conducted a small studies, right? That truly impressed me. But there are a few things different. So once you want to prepare some poster, participate in a conference, it should have state of the art. We can say you don't have any references there.
Sorry,
right?
sir.
No references. And then, yes, it is a good attempt that at least you have produced some data. This data will helps the community to have better awareness. But how about this information? Do you think this information may helps our government?
I should work on it. I think I should more work on it. So this is not sufficient.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
I think following on from that process. So suppose you've done enough research, and then what? What are you supposed to do?
I cannot understand.
Right. So I understand. I mean, you can publish these research and all that. That's one outcome. But you're dealing with the real world problem, and you've done, say, this research and subsequent research that you have in mind. You say you need to do more research. So you're undertaking all research, right, and done publication. But is this the only thing you expect from this process, or to make a difference, what would you do?
I should work on it as a resident of Mohammadpur, so I took this topic for my research. I also will also suffer from those problems in those areas.
To solve the problem, what are the things you need to do? This is
We should raise awareness among the community and people live in the Mohammadpur area. So at first we do
will that make a change?
We should try on this. I think it would be a change.
Thank you. So we have a bit of a time constraints. We would like to shorten the question and answer session, and we would like to take 2 questions per poster. Next we have
Ms. Noura Lubna Asha. I would request her to come up on stage for the question and answer session.
Assalamualaikum.
Just one recommendation for you. Can you please go through, quote unquote, I am your father, a nice captured by South Korea, while they were in Greensboro, it was the country. That was by Minister of Environment, South Korea. I am your father. You just go through individually. That's it. Nothing more question.
Thank you so much.
So I have a quick question. From your content that you have inserted in the text, I know you are from education department. What you attempted is truly impressive. Few information there. Is there any connection that plastic pollution is responsible for greenhouse gas emission?
While the plastics are being burnt, carbon dioxide is emitted there. So there is greenhouse effect. It will cause greenhouse effect.
My second question is, you are trying to, emphasize that plastic pollution is the cause of air pollution. Is it the
one of the causes?
One of the causes.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I have one just query you regarding your cost benefit analysis. You have just recommended that you're raising 10 taka per student. So students are supposed to provide 10 taka per cleaning. It shouldn't be the other way around. The students should be incentivized by 10 taka, because many of the foreign students, 10 taka is also a problem because they just study free. I'm talking about people living in the slums.
Thank you, ma'am. That's why the action plan should be decentralized. I have suggested it in my number 2 point. Action plan and raising funds should be decentralized and institutional based. If the institution can provide the fund, and if any student, it's just very much cost effective in this way that if students can provide only 10 taka, it's I'm calling it only because it's very less amount for many of the students. They can provide more. And as you mentioned, maybe some students or many students cannot give this amount of money, then the institution can provide this. Or even sometimes there will be no need of money, no need of fund, because we are using the recyclable plastics only and some equipments that students can bring from their homes, like DIY products, do it yourself. We have in our textbooks some segments, some work to do. Students are supposed to do those called Nije Koro, do it yourself. But students, we can see that our schools, our educational institutions don't implement those area. So if it is included in the curriculum, so students will be motivated, more motivated, and the parents will be too. So I think it answers the question. Thank you.
One small clarifying question. Before that, I would like to tell you that I really like this poster. It's very innovative, unique, and in the very particular aspect, and really like the creativity and the trees and using different areas for art is very nice. My question, as I said, is a clarifying question, and I was really wondering when you said recycling the plastics into teaching learning materials with the help of the teachers, right?
Yes, so with the guidance of the teachers.
Right, but that's pretty challenging to convert plastic into something usable, and that's where the next one comes. You yourself kind of answered me when I was wondering about that technical support knowledge dissemination through Vygotsky theory.
Yeah.
Could you just in 1 or 2 minutes just elaborate on that, what that theory is?
Lev Vygotsky invented this theory, which tells us the zone of proximal development. So when a student cannot learn by themselves or they cannot develop in a certain area, they can take help, or the more knowledgeable other, MKO, can provide them help. So students, not everyone can make things from things, of course, and not every students are equally strong in this area. So with the help and the guidance of the teachers, students can make groups, small groups or large groups. They can do it by turns, and teachers will help them. Then how this one particular teaching approach or teaching content can be taught using a particular teaching learning material. So may I give an example? I have done my internship as a teacher at Organic School and College, Ajapur. So there I used a model of heart, how it works. So I have used plastic bottles, balloons, and plastic pipes, straws, and something like that. And those were available to me. I was living in my hall, and I have already those things. So I didn't have to buy anything. I didn't have to throw out those things even. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we would like to invite Ms. Rita Tamanna and Mr. Sadman Sakib Chaudhary on the stage.
Assalamualaikum everyone. I would like to have as many questions as possible because it will definitely help to enhance my quality of work for my thesis, as this is what I'm working on. Please.
Well, the mic ended up with me, so the usual suspect, right? Right, very comprehensive coverage, right? Again, say I'm the Minister of Environment and I come from accounting background.
Yes, sir.
Give me 2 pointers so that you can get your wishes come true.
Okay, sir. So before you've come out of your house today, did you check how much pollutant that is present in the air today?
So I was in a air-conditioned 4-wheel drive. I have no sense as to what is out there.
At least you have to step out of the car, right? So,
No, it's true. I have a lot of important things to attend to.
So the amount of time that you had to spend out of in the environment, in the open atmosphere, you were exposed to pollutants. So you need to check how much pollutant you are being exposed to, and you need to take precautions. So here comes in my research that the mobile monitoring and using local sensors, mobile monitoring of pollutants, and you making a prediction-based model so that you are getting updated with how much pollutant is present in the air. So you can take precautions according to that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Rifa. Thank you. It's a comprehensive work, truly. But a poster is supposed to be more infographic. A lot of text is hard for us to read through.
Yes,
Let me figure out something. You said about contributing source. Would you tell me what are the methods that can help us to determine the sources?
So for the sources, the main source according to our finding was transportation or the vehicle emissions, because they are not up to standard or they are not maintaining the adequate amount of standard.
How do you decide that?
So according to I have read actually various research papers and based on Dhaka City actually, and I've come to that conclusion that vehicle emissions are mainly responsible for the pollutants in the hotspots of Dhaka City.
Could you suggest
Sir, if I will answer that, to mitigate air pollution, there are technologies, for example, for transportation, there are catalytic converters, and there are 2 factors when it comes to transportation. One is the manufacturing unit of the transportations, and the traveling unit where the cars are in motion. So for the traveling purpose, when there are different cars and vehicles, they usually emit a lot of carbon dioxide and particulate matters. And to prevent that, the catalytic converters can be installed in that case. Besides the catalytic converter, there are other technologies that, for example, the hybrid technology uses less fuel and also uses some electricity generated from the fuel. That would also contribute to the reduction of carbon emission. This is for the transportation side. And when it comes to the manufacturing unit, there are 2 systems that are mostly present in other countries. For example, one of them is the emission trading system, where each companies are allowed to emit a specific amount of carbon dioxide and particulate matter. So if one of the company emits less, they get incentivized and they get some tokens, which means that in the next coming year, they can emit a bit more pollutions, a bit more particulate matters, which might come handy when they want to extend manufacturing and production. Yes, sir. From a specific, am I allowed to use the $100 million for one specific area or across the industry? Sir, of course, yeah, we need management, we need operational policy, and we also need the government to implement different laws which would prohibit the emissions, and also there should be some codes of conduct which would be responsible for reducing this pollution. And I don't think only money would solve that problem.
Okay, I was very interested about the last point that you mentioned, emission trading system. So sometimes when this sort of thing like carbon tax or emission trading systems are implemented, often it has in the past we have observed that this sort of approach may have backfired. You know, sometimes there is a secondary market for emissions, and eventually, get my point, the more able ones end up emitting more, and not only does it raise inequality, but sometimes it actually results in more pollution. So I would suggest in your research you are concerned about that and look into the literature to sort of support your claim, or I mean sort of do a cost benefit analysis that whether it will actually lead to reduction of emissions or not.
Sorry, as far as we saw that Tesla used to make profit the past few years through this emission system, and now they're basically that was their source of funding when they were developing the electric vehicles which were zero pollutant. Yes, it could backfire because that would mean that the other companies would start be able to increase their production and increase pollution. But here's this thing, once Tesla actually started to dominate the market, their sales went down. But due to that, at first once they had a lot of allowance, but they don't have this allowance because now Tesla uses that. So this was one of the ways to reduce competition. But yeah, I think there will be a power balance, there will be a power deficit in some place, but it actually turns around. Like as far we've seen in the case of Tesla, that when they started selling more, the other companies started selling less, but they had already a higher manufacturing unit because they used to take that from. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now I would like to request our last participant, Shams Arvind Ithila, to come on the stage.
So you have filed up a regulation against pollution, right? What are the steps do you think are involved in that regulation to make it successful?
There are many steps should be needed. There are many organizations should be organizations have they should take more strictly to combine some steps that have many researchers have found many ways to reduce pollution, but those steps are not applying. So this, I think this steps should be more strictly applied.
Sounds good. It's a very good outline. So on the air pollution part on the right middle, you said switching to alternative fuels, and on the last one you said use of alternative energy sources. What are the difference?
Sir, please question.
What exactly the difference between alternative fuels and alternative energy sources?
I think,
Same, right?
yes, same.
Could you little clarify what exactly alternative fuel that may help us?
Alternative fuels should be
should we promote coal?
Yes, coal, no coal.
No coal.
I think.
Why no coal?
We can use air to produce energy, then water. This should be renewable energy sources.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. I understood. It's clear to me.
Thank you for your presentations. So your recommendations, both in case of air pollution and plastic pollution, you just listed a number of recommendations which are important, but it doesn't say that who has to do what. There are many policies which are to be taken by the government. Some recommendations that have been made would be and should be implemented at the citizens level or people who are residents of various areas. So if you just jot it down, like buy, bulk, recycle, boycott. So how and who? These are the issues you have to take note of. Thank you.
First, this state should be implemented by us. Then government and various organizations should take many steps to.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I would like to request the volunteers to arrange the stage. With that, we are done with today's poster presentation session. The evaluation process has been completed, but before we announce our winners, we would like our special guests and judges to join us on the stage. We have Dr. Ismail Hussain sir with us, Dr. Hilal Ahmed, Dr. Hassan Mahmoud Reza, Mr. Shayan Sadiq, and our honorable judges, Dr. Firoz Khan, Dr. Mohammad Suja Uddin, Dr. Asad Karim Khan Priyo, Mr. Muntasir Kamal, and Mr. Syed Yusuf Sadat. And with that, we also have our guest of honor, Dr. Fahmida Khatun. Please join us on the stage. Firstly, I would like to invite the current chairman of the Department of Economics, Dr. Asad Karim Khan Priyo, to come to the podium and share his valuable opinion.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed going through all the posters and looking at the presentations and hearing to all the presenters talk about a very pertinent issue, climate change, environmental issues, global warming, plastic pollution, air pollution. These are, I think, the biggest challenges that our generation is facing, and also generations to come will face. So it's very important that we act now. And being from the Department of Economics, I just like to say one thing. Some people think, there are also logical reasons for that economics and environment are sort of competing against each other. If you look into climate change deniers, you will see a lot of economic arguments being made. But I would like to tell you that those arguments are not really coming from a solid basis, and there is actually no war or conflict. Because if you don't have the environment, if you don't have the world, then what would you do with profit? So at the end of the day, we have environmental economists, natural resource economists who have been working on these issues for a long time and have shown a lot of optimal ways to how to manage these things, because at the end of the day, people, farms, businesses, societies, they respond to incentives, right, as we economists like to say. So that incentive system needs to be created, the appropriate incentive system needs to be created. Command and control approach rarely works, it has to be incentive-based system, and we have heard a lot of those policy measures, recommendations coming from the presenters today. So all in all, I really enjoyed the overall experience. It's very good that our club and CPD are coming up with this type of competitions. I think the new generation needs to think about it, need to come up with solutions, and we should take it from there. So thank you very much for inviting me. I enjoyed the experience, and I have a class that starts in 2 minutes time. So I would take permission from Professor Ismail and our dean and all the other dignitaries and guests present, Dr. Fahminda as well, that I would just take your permission and would like to leave the program and go to my class. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So before you leave, we would like to request Dr. Ismail Hussain to present Priya sir with his crest and hamper.
Next, I would like to welcome the current chairman of Department of Environmental Science and Management, Dr. Mohammad Sujaluddin sir, to come up on the podium and share his valuable input.
Thanks. I will not take much time, so 2 or 3 minutes only. A few points. Thanks to Professor Ismail and Deans, Professor Helen and Professor Reza, and all my colleagues and students. Since both topics are somewhat close to my hand, specifically for one topic, I'm doing research, just a few points that you should take home. How many of you, specifically the contestants or the students who joined this competition, how many of you Googled or went through Ellen MacArthur Foundation? Anyone encountered that? See, if not, I'm strongly recommending you, so please go to that. She is seriously working on that regarding plastic and fighting on that, so please try to go through the research as they are doing. The foundation is doing our nice, the smart way they have presented this for the layman, not for the scientist or the policymaker. So one important thing is, if you see the lifespan from extraction, manufacturing, production, and waste of any products, plastic has different things. So sometimes it's misleading. Mostly they are not grounded on research. Say for example, Dr. Firoz or other judge asked you several times about the alternatives. So whenever we are suggesting some alternatives, say for example for plastic, specifically for single-use plastic, say straw, we are recommending metal. Do you think it's a good alternative? We have to see equally the environmental footprints creating. Say 1 unit metal straw versus 10,000 unit plastic straw, we have to carefully consider that. So this is something what we really have to consider. And also for other single-use plastic, the way we are considering, say leaf or say jute, we have to equally consider the technology we have. And how, if we consider the lifespan, the long time it is taking versus the impact it's creating, we really have to consider that. So one thing is environmental impact, definitely. Another one is economic perspective. So if you consider both, probably we can reach to some very specific solution. And another thing is that I think the solution of plastic should be based on country, or it should be country specific. Our situation is completely different. compared to others. Last point is what I usually love to talk is about resource efficiency. We are even not comparable in terms of consumption of plastic with America or any other developed country. But there is something nice we are doing to understand that we have to think that from input and output perspective. So most of the cases, they are import based, most of the countries. So how much import, how much plastic they are importing versus how much waste they are recycling within their system boundaries. So if we consider that what we call decoupling factor or substitutability index, Bangladesh is doing a tremendously brilliant job, specifically for PET, for other plastic. The recyclability or recycling efficiency is extremely high. So we are lagging behind in other plastics. So we are facing problem for HDPE, LDPE, PE, PP. These are the areas we have to really focus on that. So that's all, and thank you, Dr. Fahmida Khan, to be here. Thanks to CPD for helping our art club for running such a tremendous program. And I always believe that if we want to learn something, competition is something is a very excellent tool that helps students to nurture the idea, to growth for a particular topic by themselves. It's a tremendous platform that you can learn and share. So thanks to CPD, and of course thanks to our club. They are doing a nice job. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to request Dr. Fahmida Khatun to hand over the crest to Dr. Sujal.
Now, I would like to invite Associate Professor of the Department of Environmental Science and Management, North-South University, Dr. Feroz Khan, to come to the podium and share his valuable words.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, our Professor Ismail Hussain, and our Dean, Dr. Reja, and our Dean, Dr. Hilal. I truly impressed that the reason I came back in Bangladesh, I want to see that air pollution, it is an issue that the reason air pollution is an issue, you'll be surprised to know, every year in Bangladesh, 273,000 people died every year only because of air pollution. And out of 273, half of them, even more than half of them, they are dying because of indoor air pollution. I'm sure our great leader here, Dr. Shayan, and CPD, they will arrange another competition, particularly based on indoor air pollution, because this is a more sound issue, only because just one information I want to share, that indoor air pollution, this is 10 times more polluted than outside air pollution. So this is even huge concern. We need to figure out what are the sources, what are the potential causes, what are the potential mechanisms that we can solve the indoor air pollution. I mean, today, even no matter what background the presenter, the way they presented, it was excellent. Even some of the presenters from law background, some of them from education. But this is such a technical issue, but they simplify it and they have presented here. That is something very excellent, right? Because this issue, the reason this is the issue, because this is a health concern. And this information we have to bring to the community, right? And this kind of competition, this kind of talk, I'm sure the message will truly deliver to our community, right? Awareness is very important. Some of my question was, what exactly the alternative? What exactly the solution, right? We need to focus on that. In Bangladesh, many universities they are coming up with this kind of courses, air pollution, climate change, and recently we have seen that urban heat wave. You'll be surprised to know if we make a visit to hospital, then we will come to know how urban heating is causing the spike of heat stroke, right? Those things really need to figure out, right? And then what exactly the heat wave, what the potential cause of urban heat, right? I mean, those are well interconnected, air pollution, urban heating, climate change, plastic pollution, right? Solid waste management, the open dumping place, right? So those all is interconnected, right? We need to figure out what exactly could be the sustainable management plan and what could be the technology that can help us, right? This is proper time. I hope more university they will come up with courses. I have seen Dhaka University, they have many students are interested, they are working on BUET, I have seen here, they are participating. So hopefully this air pollution issue, climate issue in our country will be more popular in the future. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Firoz Khan. Now I would request Dr. Ismail Hussain to hand over the crest to Dr. Firoz Khan.
Next we have Dr. Hassan Mahmood Reza with us. Dr. Reza is the Dean at the School of Health and Life Sciences, North-South University. I would like to invite him to the podium to have a few words with us.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for inviting me here. And first of all, I feel very, very sorry that I couldn't see the poster presentation. I'm sure there are very, very important information there. Next time I'll try not to miss. Honorable and my respected sirs, dignitaries on the stage, and my colleagues, and my dear students and the participants who have come from different universities to take part in this competition at North-South University. I would like to thank CPD and Art Club for taking this initiative. Definitely this is going to encourage our young minds to come forward with their new ideas. And just I was here and saw some of the question answering sessions, and I'm really happy to see that our young minds are really thinking very nice. They're really trying to take care of this earth, which is very important. Now, if all population of the world want to make this world pollution free, is it possible to make it completely pollution free? Is it possible? I think it's not possible, because as long as we are living on earth, we will produce different type of waste, and the waste management needs to be done in such a way that we can minimize the pollution. There are a lot of industries, they are producing different type of things that are essential for us to live on earth. So we have to consume those. There are vehicles, we need to use those vehicles. So actually we have to think how tremendously we can reduce the pollution, any sort of pollution. Today the theme was air pollution and the plastic pollution. In Bangladesh, we already have come to know that Dhaka city is one of the polluted cities in the world. Air is polluted by particles and by different type of gases. And again, we people are using plastic like anything, and we don't take care regarding the wastage or the disposal of these plastic materials. Actually, we people need to be aware, and if we all are aware about the bad impacts of the plastic materials, if they are not properly disposed, probably that will help us to reduce the pollution. And similarly, we can use different type of things in our daily life, and if we know how to discard and dispose, then that will again going to reduce the pollution. Policymakers, they need to find out the right way, and the young minds that you people are now thinking, your proposals, your idea might be very, very useful for the policymakers. So please do write research on that, come up with the specific recommendations so that the organizations like CPD and other organizations, different organizations working on environmental issues, and they will take your suggestion, and finally government will take all these suggestions to formulate a policy that will make Bangladesh as well as the whole world a bit little, trying to make the world pollution free. Thank you so much for inviting me again, and I would like to see some positive outcome that will be used for formulating some policy in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Dr. Hilal Ahmed to hand over the press to Dr. Hassan Mahmoud Reza.
I would now like to request Dr. Hilal Ahmed to come to the podium and share his valuable observation on this event.
Many thanks to Dr. Famida Khatun, Executive Director, CPD, Center for Policy Dialogues, Yusuf Sadat, Research Fellow, Center for Policy Dialogues, for partnering with North-South University to present such a, should I say, very educational, timely, and an important awareness campaign. Couldn't be more proud of being partnered with to play a trivial role in this. Now, few takeaways from today's, and before I do that, let me congratulate all the participants. You should be proud of yourself. You are the agent for change for better world. This is not just a competition. This is, as someone said, it's a revolution. It starts with you. So you can, whatever the outcome of this competition, you should thank yourself that you participated in a very good cause. So congratulations to all of you. Now sharing a few thoughts or feedbacks, right? I said you are agent for change, meaning you can change a little bit on your own, but that wouldn't be enough. Maybe the world will notice what good things you're doing. Collectively, we can make a change, right? So to do that, this sort of awareness campaign is fundamental. Raising awareness among yourself, and I must admit that I have become much more enlightened today than the time I started for this event. I'm serious about it. You covered so many areas, right? So the fundamental thing is about communication. Some of you might have understood the questions I was asking. Yes, this is what you think, but convince me this is important. As a policymaker, right, as a partner with your journey, convince me, give me one, and we are all busy people, right? We are all busy people, and this is not a simple issue, right? You're talking about air pollution, you're talking about plastic use, but fundamental question is why we should care about it. Why should we care about controlling it? That's our human health, right? My predecessor, the dean, represents NSU's School of Public Health, right? Environment is in his portfolio. health is what we care for. So if you can just point to the fact that this is going to affect your health, I am more likely to be with you and deal with it. So communication is important. So how awareness campaign, but this is fundamentally communications, right? And communication should be based on facts. The second pointer is all the problems you have dealt with today are not just your disciplinary problem. It's a multidisciplinary problem, right? If you think about life cycle, a lot of things are involved in it. Production, and there are a lot of engineering and all that, marketing, right? Then users, we need a lot of information about health, diet, and all sorts of things. And also how these things, this behavioral thing, this production is going to affect my health. We need to come up with a strong connection and local connection. My predecessors suggested about the number of deaths. I, for one, will challenge that sort of findings. Are they based on the facts on the ground, or you just inferring from the World Study or the World Bank number? If I'm the policymaker, I will take my local reality more seriously. Local pollution more seriously because I can see the effects. And this morning, again, next to my colleague, we sort of thought about development issues. A lot of problems, poverty, hunger, employment, transport, all sorts of things. And we see the problems, and so we think about solutions. But the connectivity between the air pollution, right, water pollution, soil pollution through plastic use and all that, and their ultimate effect on our health and livelihood are not very obvious. We have to come up with strong connectivity between what we do every day and what it affects, how it affects and all that. So again, coming back to the communication, when you talk about communication, ask yourself a question. Put yourself in the decision makers. What one thing will change decision makers to put in place some policies or make a change, right? So ask, why? Health, right? Answer is health, our health. What should we control? Then you can think about what are the things that are affecting our health. How? What are the policies? Who will be the change? Who will be the decision makers? Right? But we do not do it on our own because human, we are selfish. We do what is comfortable for us, right? Even if it's good or bad, right? So ask those sort of questions and find few answers, and that will give you the pathway to revolutionize control of air pollutions and water pollutions and soil pollution, right? So on that front, let me warn you, right? Again, if you look at, I'd say multidisciplinary, right? If you look this side of the, starting from our Professor Ismail Hussain and the one we left, all are economists. They do not do much science, but they take good science for granted. And then they understand human behavior, society's behavior, and come up with some suggestions as to how we can change our behavior, right? So as an economist, we see these sort of things as market failures, meaning if we leave it to you people, right, things are not going to change. It's a failure because what we do today in terms of consuming and using, we do not take responsibility how this is going to affect somebody else. That is the link, that's the de-link between the users and those who are affected. You call it externalities. It's a market failure, means if left to the people, to the society, it's not going to be solved. So there is a role for those who make decisions, and we call policymakers. This is a perfect case for policy decisions, right? So economists see this way. There are technologies to deal with it. There are policies to deal with it, but you have to convince policymakers that it's worthwhile to do it. So I'm leaving that challenge to you, right? Keep on doing this sort of research, keep on developing awareness, but end of the day, you and me individually can do a lot of things, but that may not be enough to arrest the problem, to attack the problem that we're facing. we need policies, right? So communicate, communicate, communicate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Dr. Hassan Mahmoud Reza to please hand over the crest to Dr. Hilal Ahmed.
Next, I would like to request Mr. Syed Yusuf Sadat, a research fellow from Center for Policy Dialogue, to take the stage and share his valuable words.
Thank you, Art Club, for organizing and hosting this event with the Center for Policy Dialogue. I want to thank all the members and volunteers who have worked with us. Also, I want to thank the faculty advisor of Art Club, Mr. Mohammad Shian Sadiq. He is also a former colleague from CPD. He has also played a big role in making this event possible. Also want to thank all the guests who are here, including my teachers, Ismail sir, Helal sir, Dr. Hassan Mahmoud Reza, Dr. Firoz Khan, Dr. Mohammad Sujaruddin. Thank you everyone for making time in your busy schedule to come and judge the event and also share your valuable remarks. Mostly, I don't want to take too much time. The main reason why we actually organized something like this, a few things. The first thing is that, as some of the speakers have already pointed out, that the economy and the environment are quite intricately interconnected. And so, in order to decouple the two, in order to actually separate the economic impacts on the environment, we need to come together from various disciplines. And it's not just sufficient if economists and environmentalists come together. We want all people from all disciplines and all parts of society to come together. And that's, I think, what we have succeeded to do here in this poster contest. I'm happy to share that we received posters from students who are studying economics, environmental science, civil engineering, education, geography, printing and publications, law and justice. So various departments and various disciplines have come in here, and in that sense we have succeeded. The other issue was that we wanted to engage the youth and the future generation. We wanted you to raise your voice. We wanted you to take action and encourage you to do more research. And that also, I think, we have succeeded. We got plenty of posters and lots of enthusiastic students who want to do good research. And the final objective was to actually to demonstrate that leading think tank and a leading university can collaborate, and we can have collaborative events, and there can be win-win outcomes. And in that sense also, we have succeeded. So I want to thank everyone here at NSU, including Art Club, and also Helal sir. He actually initiated this with me. So thank you everyone, and I hope you had a good time here. So thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to request Dr. Ismail Hussain to please hand over the crest to Mr. Syed Yusuf Sadat.
Now, I would like to request Mr. Shan Sadiq sir, our Honorable Faculty Advisor, to come to the podium and have a few words.
Thank you everyone for coming and making this event so much eventful till now. I'd really like to thank Professor Ismail Hussain sir. He had been a support to me from the very first day of North-South, and I'm also thankful to Fahmida Khanam ma'am. I used to work for CPD before that, and it feels very good when two of your workplace collaborate and make it a very grand event. I really love this thing. I'd like to thank also our Dean sir, Dr. Reza sir, Dr. Helal sir, and our chairman, Dr. Shuja sir, Dr. Phil sir had been our judges. Dr. Priyo, he has left. He has been here, left for classes. So before I go to the formal talk, I just want to have one important thing. One of the fundamental questions that I always been asked by most of my colleagues, my students, that you being an economist, what are you doing in the environmental department? This is a question that my ED members ask me. These are the questions that you ask me in the class. What are you doing here? So till now I had the response like that, economics is royal, economics is posh, that's why I'm here. But from today the response is different. Because now I can refer to this particular competition where you can see how environment and economics collaborate. These particular posters that we have seen how sustainability works here. So you can see what Dr. Hillel said, that we can see a quorum here. You can see from Professor Ismail to me, we are economists, and on the other side, we have all got the environmentalists. So what do you think? There will be a clash. There will be some clash. What do you think, guys? Nope. It's not a clash. It's a collaboration where we both sit, we discuss, and we find out the best solution for the next generation, that are you. So this is something that we need to keep in mind, that environment and economics can work together, they can collab together, and me being a guy who is very much fond of competitions in life, this particular podium, this particular stage is very much familiar to me from my student life. I've been here for a couple of times for debating, for case competition, a lot of things. I'm speaking for the first time here as a faculty. But such competitions where we can engage the youth is important. And I would really urge the other people who are seeing this competition, who have been observer here, please try to attend more competition in your undergraduate and graduate life, because this is something that will actually shape you to find out your niche in the life. So thank you everyone for making this event. I would be very much thankful to all my EV members. They have worked really hard from the day one, and also all the faculties who have helped me throughout this process. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Ismail Hussain to again hand over the press to Mr. Shayan Sadiq.
Now, I would like to invite the chair of this session, Dr. M. Ismail Hussain, the former Pro-Vice Chancellor of North-South University, to the podium and share his remarks.
Distinguished guests, my dear colleagues, dear participants, my dear students, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a very enlightening discussion and presentation. The environmental degradation and its remedy is not a monopoly of any discipline. Not the economists, not the environmental scientists. From the presentation here you see lawyers, then economists, and other types of discipline also participated. So you see that everyone has an interest in the environment, its degradation and as well as its remedial measures. Okay. So humanity has to collaborate actually. Humanity as a whole has to collaborate. Maybe chemists, maybe physicians, and economists, etc., etc. So different disciplines have to collaborate to overcome the problem of environmental degradation and keep the world safe and happy for us, all of us. I have been very happy to see that different groups of people have participated in this competition. And thanks Shayan and Sada for organizing this.
make it a success. I thank CPD for choosing North-South University as a partner in this competition. As Shayan said, that CPD is the think tank of Bangladesh. It focuses on economic issues, environmental issues, and health issues, and many other issues. Okay, and Dr. Fahmida, she looks small, but she's a giant intellectual in Bangladesh. And you can Google CPD and know about her, how she writes, in so many disciplines, so many issues she writes, okay, and enlightens general people and also specialists. Now, if you want to have some idol, okay, you can choose her as an idol. And how can be successful, how women can be successful and contribute to the economy and the society in Bangladesh. Halal has said so many things about economics. I started studying environment in mid-90s. With her just coming in the forefront. After reading several books and articles, I abandoned this because I found that economists have a small bit to contribute, though it's very important, but others, the science part is very strong. The chemistry, physical chemistry, and other aspects are very strong. So without knowing those science, I felt myself very humbled to pursue this. But Halal now teaches me that no, economists have tools and very important tools and powerful tools to contribute to this discipline. Though probably we have not been able to convince the politicians to Halal because we are not good communicators. Economists are not always good communicators. Okay, so I think I should end here. You have too much of lectures from all of us. You are waiting for food. Is there any food? Okay. Let us jump to food. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Fahmida Khatun to hand over the press to Dr. Ismail Hussain.
Next, I would like to request Mr. Muntasir Kamal, our research fellow from Center for Policy Dialogue, to take the stage and share his valuable words.
Thank you. It's almost lunchtime. So I thank the North-South University Art Club and the North-South University itself for hosting us. And obviously, as we have already discussed many times this afternoon, that many students or many participants from many different disciplines has taken part in this poster competition. So as we were going through the question answer sessions or the presentation session itself, many comments came up, right? Some regarding shortcomings, some regarding where we can focus more. But as long as students we can ask the right questions, that is where I think the success of this event was. So once again, thank you for participating and thank you for listening and thank you for asking the right questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to request Dr. Muhammad Sujauddin to hand over the press to Mr. Montasir Kamal.
Now, I would like to request our guest of honor, the Executive Director of the Center for Policy Dialogue, Dr. Fahmida Khatun, to come to the podium and share her valuable words with us.
Good afternoon, respected professors, deans, my colleagues and students. I'm the last speaker probably, and I'm standing between lunch and also the certificates are to be provided till. So a lot of things have been said, and in fact they're all erudite professors, and then we have learned about and heard about the importance of environmental economics, and not only economics but environment as such, which is a multidisciplinary subject. So one cannot really focus on this aspects of environment and ignore the other parts. It has to be looked at holistically. So I wouldn't dwell on that, but I would just like to say a few words why CPD is here today, and also relate it to the whole policy making issues of the environmental aspects. So Center for Policy Dialogue, I think many of you who have not heard earlier, now you know Center for Policy Dialogue. It's called Dialogue because one of the objectives of this center was and has been, and is also till now, is to generate policy recommendations with the participation of the stakeholders. And who are the stakeholders? Of course, citizens, but particularly those citizens who do not have a voice, who do not have an access to the policymakers. But policies are made for them, but they do not know how those are made and whether their views and their issues are reflected on that. So Professor Rehman Sopal, who has established CPD in 1993, so this year is the 30th anniversary of CPD. So in 1993, his objective was to bring everyone on the table, including the policymakers, members of the opposition political parties, representatives of the private sector, think tanks, university professors, experts, members of the non-government organizations, media, development partners, and each and every one on the table and debate on an issue, so that from debates solid recommendations comes out, which can be then taken forward by the policymakers. But then while doing such dialogue, we also realized that for an effective dialogue, you need to have analytically rigorous and evidence-based research. So research is one of the important tools for making an argument for your policy recommendations, which you just presented, many of you, 6 participants. So CPD does work on 3 legs. So research and dialogue, and also the outreach, because you see, there is a difference between the think tanks and the traditional research organizations. Research organizations do do excellent work. Many groundbreaking research and innovations have been done by the experts and thought leaders. But those are published, those are discussed among the academic circle, but they do not reach the policymakers. So, and I think it's also constrained by the fact that it is not also their task to go to that length. But the role of think tank is to take it forward. Where the researchers end, the think tanks will take it forward for policy making and also for outreach to the broader stakeholders. And that role is being played by CPD and many other organizations. In 1993, when CPD was established, there was hardly any other think tank or any such organization who would be doing such dialogues. But now, during the last 30 years, we have seen that every other day, there will be 10, 15, I don't know how many, even more, discussions going around Dhaka city on many issues, which is a progress. So that's how society progresses. The knowledge is generated, and it's not only generated, it's also disseminated. And the process of generation of knowledge has also changed. So involving the stakeholders, and CPD always felt that discussions among the stakeholders gave a good idea. So that's why when we had started this project on Green City Initiative involving targeting air pollution and plastic pollution, we were traditionally, as always we do, we involve many stakeholders, but we also thought that this is an issue which is going to have impact on the future generation. Because of our activities, the future generation is going to be affected. And when you talk about sustainable development, the crux of the issue is that we leave behind a world or an earth which will be livable by our future generation. So we thought that youth, today's youth are tomorrow's leaders. So if the youth can be involved in this process, then they would be the champions, future champions. So then we are thinking that what type of activities? We have many activities. This is one, this activity among the many other activities. We also have photography competition participated by the youth. So this poster exhibition has been really excellent because I also learned, because I don't think at your age I would be able to present my research in front of this such audience and then also respond. So congratulations to you, each and everyone. So there will be certificates are there for all, but there will be 2 winners or maybe 1 or 2 winners. But I think each and every one is a winner. I mean, all the others who were eliminated in the first round, they also have contributed, and I think they can also take it forward. So that is how we felt that if we can involve this youth, and which organization could be a better option than North-South University. It's not because that I have in my team almost 90% are from North-South University. Thank you, the faculty, economics department, for producing such intelligent and brilliant students. We're really grateful for that. So, and then there is Earth Club. So we thought that this is the best place to start this process, and of course we would like to expand in the future. So I wouldn't I wouldn't say anything more because as I said that we have still to distribute the certificate, and the honor will be done by Professor Ismail. Okay, so once again, on behalf of the Center for Policy Dialogue, I would like to thank each and everyone, as I have mentioned, the professors, deans, and any other faculty members, and the students and the administration of the North-South University for giving us this opportunity. Good afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to request Dr. Ismail Hussain to hand over the crest to Dr. Fahmida Khatun.
Lastly, I would like to request Mr. Syed Yusuf Sadat to hand over the crest to the President of Earth Club. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Bushra Noor.
Now, I would like to request the participants to come on stage one by one as I call on their names to collect their certificate from Dr. Ismail Hussain and Dr. Fahmida Khatun. First off, we have Ahmed Shams Kadir. Next, we have MD Sabirul Hassan. Next, we have Nazneen Akhtar Nisa. Next, we have Mahadi Mustafa Bhuya. Next, we have Tahmid Ishraq. Next, we have Nuri Lubna Asha. Next, we have Rifa Tamanna. MD Sadman Saqib Chaudhary. Shams Arwan Ithila. Thank you.
With that, we have come to the very end of our program. Now, it's time to announce the winners.
After the evaluation done by our honorable judges, we have come to the conclusion that we have two best posters for this event. And the first participants are Ms. Rifa Tamanna and Mr. Sadman Saqib Chaudhary from Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. Please come on the stage. I would like to request Dr. Ismail Hussain and Dr. Fahmida Khatun to please take the trouble to hand over the crest. Please give them a big round of applause. Congratulations. Next, the next best poster that we have for this event is done by Mr. Sabirul Hassan from North South University. Please come on the stage. Okay, I would like to request the participants to please come on the stage for a group photo. All of the participants, please come on the stage. It would be nice if you guys could carry your crest and certificates while for the picture. Okay, I would like to request all the participants to come on the stage, not just the finalists, all the participants. And our volunteers to take the space, please. Art club members, please come up forward. আপনারা যারা winners, please just cover up the front whole area maybe, so that you guys are highlighted. The winners. তোমরা সামনে চলে আসো। পার্টিসিপেন্টসরা তোমরা সামনে চলে আসো, যারা পার্টিসিপেন্টস ছিল সামনে চলে আসো। সামনে বসে পড়েন, আপনার সামনে স্পেসে ওকে, দিস ইজ ফাইন। Thank you, everyone. With that, we have come to the very end of the show. As we conclude, I, Bushra, and
I, Hussein,
will be signing off. We extend our gratitude for your presence at the CPD poster presentation competition arranged by NSU EC. We wish you have a splendid afternoon. Thank you.